Hey everybody, welcome to Fantasy R&R. This is your host Ryan.
And I'm Rob.
And this is our fantasy football wide receiver discussion.
This is Fantasy with Rob and Ryan, Fantasy R&R.
Yep, that's right. We've done quarterbacks so far. We've done running backs. Now we're on to wide receivers. Next episode we do one of these is going to be the tight ends, and we'll keep going on down the line. So Rob, let's just get to it. We picked a bunch of wide receivers we want to talk about. Obviously, we never go through everybody in the league. We're starting off with Michael Pittman Jr. Rob, we've talked about this guy a lot last year, and you were a lot higher on him than maybe I was. And not that I don't like the kid, it's just you seem excited about this dude. This year, unfortunately, they got saddled with the fucking Wentz situation that we've always mocked, and it looks like that's not, it's no different than what we've seen in the past. But I am absolutely surprised at just how well you called this guy. Look at the amount of targets he's getting this year. 12 targets in last week's game and week 2 for a combined 190 yards at this point. Still has yet to see the end zone, but you think that's going to change this week at Miami?
That's right. I'm predicting 8 touchdowns. No, I'm just kidding around. Yeah, I like Michael Pittman Jr. He was a guy last year. If you just watched, the volume increased. It just seemed each week, and hasn't slowed down. I know he had a pretty decent. I think they only played one playoff game, but I think he killed in the playoff game last year. Don't quote me on that, but Michael Pittman Jr. I like so far to start this year. Yes, let's say he gets that touchdown. He's getting that touchdown this week.
Yeah, I think he's, obviously got a lot of talent, and he's emerging as the number 1 wide receiver on that Colts team. My Paris Campbell hopes did not pan out. I thought that maybe with the injuries toning down, and he'd be coming back and having a big game. It looks like he's right back where he started. Campbell's taking a backseat to the health department, and looks like it's going to be the Pittman show going forward. A couple of guys I want to talk about, Henry Ruggs and Bryan Edwards on this Las Vegas Raiders team. I get ready for this, Rob. I want you to hold your balls for a second. Derek Carr is on pace for he's on pace for 6,400 yards passing as it stands right now.
Why not?
Henry Ruggs was somebody who didn't do anything as a rookie last year. Now this year, he's 77.7% rostered. He's got a 10-plus point fantasy game, a 20-plus point fantasy game, a 100-yard game this season, and he has hit the end zone. Bryan Edwards, conversely, is one of these guys no one really knew about coming into this season, and he's starting to emerge as kind of a middle-of-the-field threat. And we've seen him, put up a couple of decent performances where he also has 10-plus point fantasy games, although he hasn't seen the end zone. 13% rostered in the league. What are you making of this whole situation with Carr being on fire and these being the 2 main targets besides Darren Waller?
Well, either Derek Carr is having his breakout year. What is this? His 8th season in the league. I mean, it's been quite some time. Or this is a hot streak. I have no clue. This is how many years has it been for the coach this year now? 4th or 5th? I don't know. Maybe things are starting to finally work in his favor. Yeah, with Gruden, I think it's his 4th or 5th year in a 10-year contract. Maybe this is happening. Maybe it's not. Who knows? But it's been exciting to see. Like you said, those stats are pretty eye-popping. So it's going to be interesting to see how it goes from here.
Yeah, it's hard to believe in Derek Carr, but at this point in the season, if he repeats this week 4, if he goes to LA and plays against Justin Herbert, and that defense is not that spectacular, and he torches them again, we might have to consider that Derek Carr is going to finish this year as a top 5 fantasy quarterback. He's going to be playing teams with bad defenses like the Giants and Kansas City and Dallas, and it might be surprising by the end of the season. So just a couple of wide receivers I've really had my eye on. I always like Ruggs' speed ability. And conversely, him being a rookie last year, let's talk about a rookie this year, Jamar Chase on the Bengals. Didn't get the touchdown, didn't blow up as big as I thought he would this week when I did the week 4 preview. But this guy, I'm starting to think he might be Rookie of the Year candidate.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's just hand him the Rookie of the Year award and move on already, because I think it's trending in that direction. Bengals look good. Joe Burrow is a good quarterback.
Yeah, it's actually interesting that at this point, we used to think this about the Vikings. It was like, okay, grab Adam Thielen, grab Stephon Diggs, grab anybody else on that team. As long as you have one of those guys on the Vikings, you're good for fantasy this year. I actually feel that way about the Bengals this year. With the way Joe Burrow is playing in his sophomore effort after that injury, I know T. Higgins was hurt, and we're going to have to see how that plays out. But Higgins did have a touchdown in both of his games this year and put up 13-plus point fantasy performances. And then Jamar Chase, on the other hand, he's got 4 touchdowns on the year, and he's got like 300 yards receiving already. And then Tyler Boyd on top of it. I think Tyler Boyd, did he score against the... I don't think he scored against the Jags, but he has a touchdown this season, and he's got 3 10-plus point fantasy performances. It seems like the Bengals wide receivers are the go-to this year.
Yep.
I'm not sure how you feel about this situation for the rest of the season, but, you know.
No, I agree with you.
I say if you got any Bengals out there, it's just kind of a must-start situation every week at this point. And I'm going to be doing the same thing with this next guy on our list, DJ Moore. I'm not even questioning it anymore. I've seen Matthew Berry take his little shrimp dick out and say, this might be a tough matchup for old DJ Moore this week. Shut the fuck up, Matt Berry. You don't know anything. DJ Moore needs to be started all the time. I mean, at this point, I'm convinced. Terrace Marshall, I love him as a rookie, but it's going to take a while before he starts to catch up. And Robbie Anderson looks like nothing more than a decoy at this point, right?
He just looks like the long threat, essentially what he was doing with the Jets, right? I mean, just running as fast as he possibly can down the field and, yeah, essentially being a decoy. DJ Moore, I don't think a lot of people were talking about at the beginning of this year, and I know we have shares of him in each of our leagues. And, yeah, I'm enjoying what I see so far. Again, Sam Darnold looking pretty good. He's got a pretty decent arm, and DJ Moore almost kind of like Josh Allen with Stephon Diggs last year. It's perfect matchup there.
And you called that, the Sam Darnold. You were very high on him coming into the season. You thought the change of scenery was going to pay dividends, and it has. Robbie Anderson, only 3 targets in the first game. He did get a touchdown there, but since then, 8 targets, only 46 yards, no TDs. The biggest thing he's done this year is that fucking haircut in his ESPN profile picture. So, yeah, I'd say DJ Moore is going to be the man. I'm just very excited about him. He's a must-start at this point. He might finish top 5 fantasy wide receiver. Somebody that used to finish top 5. I actually wanted to put this guy on the list because I took him as a very late-round flyer in one of my Yahoo leagues and got a decent performance, but he did start off the year injured, and he's got Baker Mayfield thrown to him. I just want to hear your thoughts on Odell Beckham Jr.
I don't know. He's a guy the last few years, like you kind of said, I let other people draft him. I never have shares of OBJ. He had a really nice catch last week. You know, is Baker Mayfield holding him back? Who knows? But I don't ever want to have anything to do with OBJ, to be honest. And it's going to be a toss-up, man. I think Cleveland's offense is mediocre at best. I think we're kind of seeing that again this season, and we'll see if he can do any better than he did last year, which was pretty good. Was he top 15, top 12 last year maybe to end the season? I'm not sure off the top of my head, but again, I just never own him. I never really pay attention to him.
I'd actually have to look. I'd be surprised if he hit top 12 or top 10. So I mean, it does sound like you don't give a shit about him, and maybe I don't either. But we'll see what he does for the rest of the season.
Right.
Everybody, I think his best days are behind him, and we'll talk about someone else later who's making some catches like OBJ used to make. Now, the next guy, also someone I just want to hear your thoughts on. I think we both love this kid, and we're a little disappointed at how the season has started. The going up against the Jets this week, the Titans will be without Julio Jones and your boy A.J. Brown. How are you feeling about A.J. Brown right now, and what's your thoughts going forward?
Well, I got lucky with A.J. Brown last year in a dynasty league. I got him when he was injured, and now I'm dealing with him as he's injured. So I've gotten the best of both worlds from him. But I still believe in this guy. Yards after contact, this guy's a monster, and it's only a matter of time until he's fine, or healthy enough to be on the field and be producing, which is what he hasn't been doing. But this again all just relies is looking at your quarterback. I've been saying it. Ryan Tannehill is. I just don't believe he's going to get the job done in Tennessee, and they might have to look elsewhere here eventually because their offense is looking anemic, and they have like the best running back in the league with Derrick Henry. So it makes no sense to me. But I'm not dropping this guy, and I'm not going to bench him when he comes back. I'm going to start him and just wait for that week for him to break out.
Yeah, and I noticed that you right now you got that slot filled up with Brandon Iuke. I'm glad we called his return to grace last week on that Week 3 preview. So congratulations, Iuke. We do think you're back. You were mentioning you did have some nasty drops, but we'll see
shaking
that
off the
pan
rust.
out. We were, kind of surprised to see, my dad in that league drop him, and I'm glad you snagged him up. He's a talent. I think he'll bounce back. He had a great rookie year. Speaking of which, you've got Leviska Chanel, who just put up a good performance because of DJ Chark's fractured ankle. So that's right, everybody. DJ Chark has a fractured ankle. They're saying he could come back this year. I don't see that being realistic, and he's probably going to be out for at least 8 weeks. And you're talking, at this point, it's going to be December, heading towards the playoffs, and Jaguars aren't going to be in it, so they're probably not going to rush him back. Leviska Chanel, do you think he's going to have any big play upside, or is this what we're going to see every week? 10 targets, 10 catches, 80-yard kind of thing?
I think he's being significantly underutilized, and now with Chark being out, they have to figure him into the playbook, right? I mean, these like screen passes that they're doing and him kind of running left to right, they got to get him downfield. I mean, he's a pretty solid catcher, and very similar to A.J. Brown, the yards after contact are there. He just needs the opportunity. So I'm excited and bummed that you lost Chark, but fortunate enough for you in the ESPN league, you have other options everywhere. But Chanel, I think, is a really good talent, and it's his time to shine, and they got to make sure that they're giving this guy the ball.
Yeah, I mean, I got Antonio Brown coming back from the Devil's virus, and I'm sure I'll be fine at wide receiver.
I didn't know the Devil was Chinese.
Keenan Allen's my other guy. Oh yeah, of course he is. I mean, but Keenan Allen, I'm getting a little frustrated here. And we've talked about this before.
Why is that, Ryan?
I had Mike Williams, this fucking asshole Mike Williams. I drafted him in 2017. My player rookie draft was Christian McCaffrey round 1, Deshaun Watson round 2, Mike Williams round 3. I have waited for this guy to be a consistent fantasy option. After 1 year of 1,000 yards, 2 touchdowns, and then another year of like 600 yards and 10 touchdowns, and then a bunch of 0-point games, and then him falling on his ass after a catch and going out with a broken hip.
Yep, that's right.
And shit like that. I cannot believe what's happened. This dude in the league picked him up, and he's been amazing ever since. And to make matters worse, the guy that picked him up has Justin Herbert. Keenan Allen looks like he's taking a back seat to this dude. What the hell is going on?
Hey, this is all you on this one. This is the Mike Williams show, and you're the star. You tell me.
I mean, all I'm going to say about it is fuck that guy. Yeah, it's absolutely insane.
I don't understand it. I don't. This is the same Justin Herbert, who's a very good quarterback. I like Justin Herbert. Another guy that was getting some crap thrown on him, pre-draft. I never understood why. The Chargers got him, and they got the weapons, but for some freaking reason, it has been the Mike Williams show. And Keenan Allen is the co-star. He's the Robin here to Mike Williams is Batman, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, that guy can lick my balls. Let's move. This is already putting a bad taste in my mouth. Let's move on to the next dude.
Balls I heard
rookie
taste like
Jaylen
shit,
Waddle. Rookie Jaylen Waddle started off the season real good. 6 targets, 4 receptions, 61 yards, and a TD. So first week off the bat, Waddle from Alabama's got a TD under his belt after that injury, and all the non-believers have to accept that this dude's talented. Tua goes down, and 6 receptions, 48 yards, no TD. This last game with Brissett, it's been dump-off city. 13 targets, 12 receptions, 58 yards, no TD. Jaylen Waddle, if you've got him, I'm feeling like just be patient, keep him in dynasty leagues, even in the redraft leagues, wait until Tua comes back, and just continue to monitor this guy going forward. I think he's got the talent. Not sure how you feel about him right now. I know the Dolphins are in a nasty situation, but Jaylen Waddle looks like he could eventually be a good wide receiver.
Yeah, no, I like Waddle. I just like him definitely a lot more with Tua than Jacoby Brissett. And, if I had Waddle, I don't have him anywhere, I'd be starting him. More or less, even with the Brissett situation. Somebody's going to have to get the ball, but hopefully Tua comes back and starts firing on all cylinders, because I do believe Waddle's that kind of receiver that could be a game changer further down the line in the season.
Talking about a game changer here, I like this kid a lot. I put him on every team I have this year. He didn't make as much of a splash in the news or in fantasy radars because he was starting the season hurt. we didn't think that this guy Rashad Bateman of the Ravens was going to be back this early. He has practiced. They're thinking he might be cleared for Week 4 against the Broncos. Made some incredible one-handed catches at Minnesota. Very OBJ-like. This is the guy we were talking about earlier when I referenced that. I think with Hollywood Brown dropping these passes, Sammy Watkins has been dropping passes too, and we know how his career's been.
Not even bring
Rashad, so scratch that from the record. Sorry, buddy. But Rashad Bateman, I think you got to stash this guy now. I think you just did in one of your leagues, and I'm very excited. Yeah, I did. I'm very excited to see what he does. But, again, that people think Lamar Jackson can't throw. He's doing just fine this season. He's another guy. He's got over 700 yards passing, 3 TDs through the air. I know he's got some turnovers, but, let's calm down. What I'm kind of surprised about is everyone shit on him, even though he put up a fantastic performance against Kansas City just because of the 2 interceptions. Well, if he's got a guy like Bateman coming in and he's got that target to throw to downfield who's physical and can catch a difficult ball, I mean, I'm thinking he could be the number 1 target soon.
Yeah, it wouldn't shock me whatsoever. He's coming into a perfect situation, just like you had said. With Hollywood Brown, I don't know, being a more, ever crappier place than Hollywood in LA. Oh, that's right, Los Angeles itself. I think he hasn't been as good as advertised. He looked a lot better last year. Somebody's got to catch the ball. The run game's kind of been up in the air with that situation, which is where I believe that Lamar Jackson's had to scramble even a little more now. And the whole narrative of him not being a quarterback, why is that still a thing? I still don't understand how that's a thing. Like, it's ridiculous. He's come from this guy that, again, everyone was saying, oh, he's a running back, and is now taking Baltimore to the playoffs in how many consecutive seasons now?
I mean, I guess too, right? Yeah, because 2018 he didn't take him there. He played in a playoff game against the Chargers and wasn't all that great. But 2019
since he started,
MVP
to the playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, like, it's a quarterback. That's what quarterbacks do. Like, is he a conventional quarterback? No, but guess what? How many of these conventional quarterbacks come out of college and totally flop on their faces? I mean.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's take a break from that narrative because I think it's crazy. He's good. He kind of needs the team to be around him, and I don't even know who's their tight end that they have. What's his name?
Mark Andrews, yeah.
Mark Andrews. I mean, is he even being utilized much this season? Because I don't feel
only last week against me.
Okay.
Only last week against me.
That's how that usually goes. Yeah, that's usually how that goes.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, guy was a stud in Minnesota, and they didn't feel that confident in his play to take him first round if he wasn't going to start. So if it's not going to be this week,
right.
I guarantee you it's next week. And then it's only a matter of time that he is, wide receiver 1 for that team.
All right, that's right, guys. Grandmaster Bateman, get him on your lineups now. A lot of people don't realize, but you can go to Yahoo and just add him straight to your IR as it stands right now. You don't even have to drop a player. Ronda Moore of the Arizona Cardinals. I'm gonna let you talk about this one here. Go for it.
Yeah, a guy who made me look like a fool last week got him, but no worries. 1 week, I know fantasy football is all about patience. It's good to see the guy get targets the week before. Again, very early in the season, I always like looking at trends, and he's good. Here's another guy you were talking about watching in college. You're sitting there looking at Bateman in Minnesota. Ronda Moore was a stud with Purdue, and I think the world of this guy. He's a little undersized, yes, but he's super fast, great feet work, good hands. I think it's just going to be, as we were talking about prior to the podcast, Ryan, it's going to be luck of the draw who's going to get the targets that day. So I say don't give up on this kid just yet, just because he put up a dud and you probably used a waiver on him. I say keep this guy on your team because plenty of season left. I mean, we're talking about week 4. There's plenty of season left.
Yeah, and we've got an extra week this year too. And Kyler Murray, your pick for MVP or our pick for MVP, he's going to be thrown to him. So stay patient there. I think that's a situation where that's an NFL team. You're going to bounce back. AJ Green 1 week, DeAndre Hopkins 1 week, Christian Kirk 1 week, and you just got to stay patient until it all works itself out. I do think Devonta Smith on the Eagles is probably about to pop off against his Kansas City defense. Jalen Hurts is probably going to bounce back. I know Devonta Smith's been a little underwhelming the last couple games. Dude is small. He's got chicken legs. But, Hurts put up an absolute dime to Watkins that on that 91-yard bomb, I think against San Francisco, just fucking landed perfectly. I'm not talking about dumped it off on the sideline and Watkins ran down the field. I mean, literally, it was a bomb. I mean, he threw the ball about 40, 50 yards right on the money. And if Devonta Smith can get out in the open space against his Chiefs secondary, I think we'll see the same thing there. And people are obviously waiting for him to do something. But remember, these are all rookie wide receivers. We can't expect them all to just come in like Justin Jefferson. A lot of these dudes don't develop until year 2 or 3. Or if you're like that fucking asshole Mike Williams, year 5. So just be patient with Devonta Smith on your bench and see what happens from there. Scary Terry McLaurin, you were one of the first people to start talking about this dude. I think he's about to pop off too. What are you thinking here?
Yeah, Scary Terry was just Ohio State. I'm a big Penn State guy, so I watch a lot of Big Ten football. He was killer with Ohio State. Guy has just essentially been a good quarterback away from being an absolute star in this league. I can't stress that enough. I know we talk about drafting wide receivers, and my go-to is I don't really look so much at the receiver. I look at the name, of course, and the statistics behind that name, but I look at the quarterback. And it's annoying to see what Scary Terry's been going through. And now hopefully Heineke comes in and is able to revitalize what has been a stagnant offense so far in this season. But there's no reason for me to ever believe, unfortunately I don't have Terry in any league, but I wouldn't be benching this guy, would you?
No, especially not this week. Dude has 25 targets on the season in 3 games, and he put up a 23-point fantasy performance in week 2 against the Giants. Now he's going to Atlanta, to a dome. They're going to have a bad defense, and Matt Ryan's struggling to get things going all the time. I think this is where McLaurin comes back, and he gets his 5 to 7 receptions, 100 yards, and possibly a score. I like the guy. I don't own him anywhere either, but I sure would take him, going into this year's draft if he fell at the right spot. It just didn't seem to work out like that for me.
Right.
But yeah, I'm a huge fan too. So Terry McLaurin's another guy I think is a must start this week. Speaking of the Giants that they played, do you still believe in Cadarius Tony here?
I do. He's gonna be a guy I'm gonna ride the train, kind of like the Ronda Moores right now. Cadarius Tony reminds me a lot of KJ Hamler from Penn State, except a little better. I thought not only was he fast, but has really good hands. Why would the Giants take this guy first round if they didn't plan on using him? I don't understand the concept of what these teams try to do, let alone the New York Giants. You're going to go with Danny Dimes, then go with them. Spread the ball around a little more. I was just reading something that they're saying they plan on using Tony a little more into this league, so maybe this is a gradual process as he learns the playbook. I'm going to stick with it. Here we go. Hot take. Here it comes. Touchdown. I'm going touchdown. Cadarius Tony, maybe he makes a wave or two to where his name gets brought up, but I do like what I see from him. I just don't like the Giants.
Yeah, if this keeps up, we're going to see the same thing that we saw from Kenny Golladay. Tony's going to get up and start yelling at Daniel Jones on the sideline. We already talked about this dude real quick, but just last thoughts before we end this podcast. Brandon Iuke, you're happy to have him on your team right now. We're both surprised to see him drop. We thought he had a good rookie season last year, and we thought he was going to pop off this year. Do you still believe that he's just going to ease his way back into this offense and become a top 25 wide receiver by the end of the season?
Yes, and I'll make it short and quick. I watched the Monday night game against the Packers. He was targeted a bunch. He just shaking off the rust, like we were saying earlier, dropped a couple perfect passes. In his mitts. He scored a touchdown in this game and dropped a touchdown in this game. I believe this past Monday was easing him back into the offense. And I would not be shocked if this week against Seattle he's targeted heavily. And I've got a good feeling about Brandon Iuke going forward.
Yeah, so in back and forth with their hype, but that's the way it goes in fantasy football. So those are our thoughts on our wide receivers right now. Next time we will do a tight end discussion. Once again, this was Fantasy R&R with Rob and Ryan. We will see you next time.